What's up, guys? Justin Morgan here, carved up vegan muscle, and this was actually week one of my training cycle. The first part of the training cycle focuses more on like, kind of hypertrophy, so I'm doing a lot of sets of 10, and it focuses on elements of strongman. So basically, I actually have the entire program laid out on a blog page, and I think what I'll probably do is do a individual video where I kind of go over the program itself, and I do a lot of discussion in the blog discussing why I do each part of the program. But so week one, I'm starting out, with no belt, no sleeves, no anything, 100% raw, nothing that would help me or assist me in any way in the lifts. And I'm taking about 10% under what my previous max in these lifts under these conditions were. So week one's kind of like a way to adapt my body to it. Actually, last night I did 315 in the squat for a set of 10, and that matches my previous 10 rep max. And then next week, of course, my goal will be to increase it. And based on what happened last night with the squat, it should be a pretty good experience. I think I have maybe somewhere between 10 to 20 pounds more. I think 20 might be a bit ambitious, so I'll probably add on, go up to maybe 330 or something like that. And so you get to see kind of a variety of lifts over different days on this, and the lifts really are kind of the furthest that they'll get from the way that they would be done in competition. So a lot of squats are either for high reps or they are paused, as you can see with a paused front squat here. And then the actual weightlifting movements that I do are very infrequent and not quite as well. They're just definitely not the way they would be done in competition. They're very meant to address certain components of the lift as corrective techniques or corrective exercises that are done, so that later on in the training cycle, when I actually do begin to train more specifically for weightlifting, then ideally I'll have addressed issues in my lifting that will promote me to be a better lifter at that point. As I go through this particular training cycle, I don't intend to end with a weightlifting meet. I'm actually going to compete in strongman. So that may have some component of it later on, whereas normally I would focus very heavily on weightlifting as the reps get lower and I'm doing less total volume by way of the number of reps that I'm doing. Then I would normally begin to do a lot more snatch, clean, and jerk, whereas in this case, because I plan to do a strongman competition on, I think it's August 12th, then I will be doing a lot more of the events that are coming up, and I'll probably do another video with more to come on how that will be. What you're seeing right now was my first attempt at doing sumo deadlift. I think that sumo was probably a good move for me because I have a long torso, I have shorter femurs in comparison to my height. I'm 6 foot tall, so I'm not a short person, but in relationship to my femur length of my legs compared to my torso, I have a very long torso, so that puts a lot of stress on my lower back for doing like conventional deadlift. So I think that probably it will be a better scenario for me to do sumo deadlift because it puts a lot more of the weight that's being lifted into the hips, which will hopefully carry over both to weightlifting and allow me to train for the other sports that I do as well. Here I am again. I couldn't make it out to a strongman gym on Saturday like I wanted to, so I just went ahead and did like max kind of stuff. So, and speaking of that, stones will definitely be part of it. There's no stone to shoulder, but I only have a 210-pound stone to work with, so I can get this up to my shoulder pretty easily. Whereas oddly enough, when I get up to 300 pounds on the Atlas stone, it's quite near impossible. So I got definitely a lot of work to do. I think the heaviest stone in my weight class, I'm kind of torn whether I'm going to do 242 or 220 in pounds. That would be 110 or that would be 100 kilos or 110 kilos. So I'm not really sure which one I'm going to do yet. I'd like to get down to 220 because the weights will be lighter and more manageable for me to use in that weight class. But I'm really not sure yet because I put on a lot of weight over this past month. So it's time to get in shape and bring a lot of that off. So what was not videoed in this was I also did some bench pressing, which I'm maintaining, and then I also did several sessions of HIIT cardio, and that will increase as I go through the training cycle in general. And if you want to know more about that, I'll do a separate video on how I've laid out the training program and what occurs in it. You guys take it easy, and I'll talk to you next time.